Oh my God. So a few weeks ago, I made the Japanese Wagyu melon watermelon katsu sando. That was a really good sandwich, but the one thing that it was missing was some authentic Japanese milk bread. Milk bread is the sweet, light, fluffy white bread that's used in a lot of Japanese sandos, the sandwiches in Japan. So today we're gonna make a Japanese milk bread, and then to finish it off, we're gonna be doing a sweet, delicious summertime fruit sando. I'm so excited for this, using milk bread. So the Japanese milk bread that I'm making today comes from The Little Epicurean. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can find that recipe, and it will be on SauceStache.com. So let's get started. One of the most important ingredients to make milk bread is whole milk. And the first thing that we're gonna do with it is we're going to make a kind of like a roux. It's a starter. So to make the starter, we're gonna take a 1/3 cup of bread flour, about 1/2 cup of whole milk, and 1/2 cup of water. Whisk this together really nicely. Make sure there's no clumps or anything. And then we're gonna turn this on a medium heat. So we're gonna cook this for about the next 5 minutes, stirring pretty constantly until it reaches the consistency of a soft mashed potato. So we're gonna remove this from the heat. We're just gonna transfer this to another bowl to allow it to cool down. I'm gonna drop a sheet of plastic wrap over the top, pressing in, allowing it to touch the top of the starter. This is just gonna allow it to where it can cool down and not dry out. We don't want it to dry. And that's it, that's covered. We're gonna set this aside. We're gonna get the rest of this dough ready. I can't wait for this. So for the rest of the bread dough, we're gonna be using a stand mixer with a dough hook attachment. I'm sure you could do it by hand. It's probably just gonna take quite a bit more work because there's a lot of kneading involved. So we need 325 grams of bread flour. Dump that in the stand mixer. 60 grams of granulated sugar, 7 grams of active dry yeast, a tablespoon of milk powder, and a teaspoon of salt. So I think what we could do, a little trick, is we're gonna take our starter here, and since our starter is still warm and our egg and milk are cold, both of the egg and milk need to be at room temperature. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix the milk into the starter. Okay, so at this point, I actually messed up. The starter was enough starter to make 2 loaves of bread. So when I poured everything in, I started mixing it together, I realized this was a very wet dough, and it didn't work. So I ended up dumping everything out, restarting, and here it is. So I dumped everything out and I remade everything. I remade the roux, remade the flour mixture, started mixing together, but this is still an incredibly wet, sticky dough. Okay, this is gonna be kneading. I don't know if this is gonna work. It just doesn't seem right, but I'm gonna add the butter and let's mix this together on a low knead for another 5 minutes or so. Okay, so it still seems really soft, but I'm gonna turn it up to a medium speed and knead for about another 5 minutes. It supposedly is gonna pull away from the bowl. I don't see how that's gonna happen, honestly. Okay, this has been going for the full time. It's pretty smooth. We'll see if this works. I had to add a bunch of extra flour. I mean, definitely not 100% with this recipe. So we're just gonna lightly grease the inside of this bowl. So I'm just going to form this into a ball, place in the greased bowl here, and we're gonna let this kind of sit for about the next hour or so. Hopefully it will double in size. Woohoo, okay, this thing has doubled in size. I mean, look at the size of that dough ball. Okay, so we have our loaf pan. This is a 9x5 loaf pan. We're just going to lightly grease the inside of this and the top. So I wanna make sure that this bread loaf releases. And then I have a piece of parchment paper, cut, ready to roll, and stick in there. Perfect. Again, this is just gonna make sure for an easy release. So I'm just gonna flour the work surface here, and then we're just gonna drop this guy out. Oh, that actually came out perfect. Look at this guy. And then we're just going to cut this into 4. So I'm just gonna keep those guys covered so they don't dry out. And then with these guys, what we're gonna do is we're going to roll them out so that way they're around 8 inches long and about 5 inches wide. Now you can use your bread pan just to get an idea what that is. So almost as long as the bread pan and just as wide. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold in the sides, about a 1/2 inch into the sides, and then we're going to roll up and then drop it into our bread pan, seam side down. And then we just need to repeat. You know, it's a little rocky start to this, but I believe in the end, this is coming out pretty good. So at this point, these guys are all rolled up. We're gonna cover them back up with some saran wrap in our bread pan and let these guys sit for about another 40 minutes. They're gonna double in size. So let's go. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. Look at this. Oh, I'm so excited. That looks amazing. So we just have a little bit of heavy cream. We're gonna brush the heavy cream right along the top here, real lightly. Just make sure it's completely coated. And we're gonna place the loaf in the oven. The oven is preheated at 350 degrees. We're gonna let this bake for about 40 minutes or so. Look at this thing. Look at this. Oh, I am so excited about that. I mean, that is just beautiful. Got a little darker than what I wanted, but that's okay. I'm hoping this should slip out, which it did pretty easily. Oh, this is so wonderful. So we're just gonna set this on a wire rack to cool. Okay, so now we're gonna be getting ready for our fruit sando. So we have a mango, a peach, a kiwi, and some strawberries. So all we're gonna do is slice the strawberries. Actually gonna do these in half. For the kiwi, I'm just gonna do in thick slices. For the peach, we're just gonna peel the skin off. Then I'm gonna do these guys in strips, probably 1/2 inch thick strips. And same thing with the mango. So next up, we have to make some whipped cream. So for our whipped cream, we're gonna use about a cup of very cold, heavy cream. We're gonna do a little over a tablespoon of sugar, and then we're gonna whip this on high for about 3-4 minutes. Now, because of the way this sandwich is put together, we're gonna want a pretty stiff peak whipped cream. So make sure you beat these all the way up to a firm peak. Okay, I would say that's a pretty stiff cream. I'm pretty excited about that. Tastes great. We're gonna use a serrated bread knife and give this guy some slices. That looks perfect. Wow, look at that. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so that first slice was a little crazy. We're gonna get some thick slices. I'm thinking 3/4 inch slices here. For the sando, we gotta slice off, carefully remove the crust, spread on a very nice helping of the whipped cream. We're doing about 1/4 cup per side, so about a 1/2 cup of whipped cream for this whole sando. Now all we're gonna do is just arrange our strawberries to be right here in the corners. These are big strawberries, but get one of our kiwi slices right there in the middle. Now I'm gonna do a mango slice, and we're just doing a pear. So we're gonna slice crossways. Let's see, do we have, oh, that is wonderful. So here it is, the Japanese fruit sando. Look at this thing. I mean, it's just wonderful. So a lot of work today getting this bread, but I bet you it's gonna make, such a difference. Oh my God. That is so good. That is so, so good. The bread is so soft and it's just, the bread's wonderful. Come on. It tastes like cake. It's honestly, it's cakey. Wow. That's some awesome bread. Everybody listed over here on the side are the people from the Sauce Squad. Thanks, Sauce Squad. You can join the Sauce Squad over at patreon.com/SauceStache. Thanks.